When cinema started, it started with the Lumière and Méliès. And everyone told in history of cinema, Lumière are the reality, the documentary, Méliès is fantasy, invention, new technologies. It's not completely true. The first important documentary we have, it's signed by Georges Méliès, and it's the trial of Richard Dreyfuss. And it's a fantastic piece of reality. He was the only one reporter admitted to meet Mr. Richard Dreyfuss in jail. It's just to say that, in my opinion, we can't be scared by the confrontation between reality and technology, because it's older than us. When the books transformed their technology with Mr. Richard Gutenberg, when the books changed aspects, it was a total revolution in a way. But the concept, the real reason why the books were written was still there, absolutely, and it didn't change. Or maybe, yes, it changed in a way, just like the books of nowadays are much more cinematic than in the past, because they're part of our society. But the opposition, it's a fake question. I'm not so sure that it could be the real part of the game.
If you're asking me what the solution is, I have no idea.
Sure.
But I do think...
But I ask you, how can you work trying to consider and encourage so different ways to distribute and to show films, which is totally apart from the commercial structure of our distribution?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, basically, the advantage that I think Variety has over a lot of bloggers, because a lot of bloggers are by themselves, and we have a newsroom, and so there's a lot of people exchanging information, and the people who buy Variety are the same people that we write about. So that's a big advantage, because all of the reports, we all talk to people, and so we're always trying to change things. I mean, you know, we've changed things a lot in the past 2 years, because it's like people are talking about this now. We're covering a lot more video games than we used to, because, you know, the previous editor, he wasn't interested in video games, but I think we kind of have to cover it now. So it's like everything is changing. I mean, for me, one of the questions that I think you're asking is, in terms of cinema, to get people, I think people will always want to go see something together. They need that experience, no matter how much entertainment they have on their cell phone. They kind of need this, whether it's a comedy or Avatar or a documentary or a combination. But I think the question for all of us here is, okay, what can you give the audience in the cinema that they will never get anywhere else? And sometimes it's just maybe better storytelling, better ideas. You know, I don't think it's technology. I think Avatar was a hit, and that 3D helped, but I don't think it was just 3D that made that movie a hit. And you have to give audiences what they want, but audiences change. I mean, if you look at movies that were popular in 1950, I mean, they would never be made today, much less be popular. So it's, I think audiences are getting more sophisticated, but, you know, I think, I mean, both of your teams, you know, your films have been very well received, so you obviously know how to do something. You know, it's like you're getting in touch with the audience. They're responding to this. But for you to write down instructions for another filmmaker and say, make sure you do these 7 things, I think it won't work for them. So I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah. In a way, just to explain, there is something very important in which Tim said, is that a paper like Variety becomes a sort of community of information still. It's not just a newspaper relating on something else, it's part of the system, it's part of the community of information for everyone.
I just want to say something that, remark something that Tim said, is why is so important the film. And yesterday I have that experience. I have seen the film many thousands of times, but when you share this experience with the audience, and the audience have this experience together, it makes something like a magic, you know, that really explodes on the cinema. I mean, if you watch the movie by yourself, it will be completely different. But when we watch it together, it was something that you say, oh man, yeah, in the cinema there is magic, and the only way that you can really feel the magic is together. And because it was like 1,000 persons, it was amazing, and you never get this vibe doing by yourself. And I think this is why the people go and watch the movie and don't see it in a DVD. So it's something that you cannot describe, but it's something that the magic starts when the lights get off, and then you see the light coming out, and then you will never have this experience alone in your home.
When I read about it, I thought that the idea was extremely dramatic, and I expected it to be very dramatic, but while watching the movie, it was not as dramatic as I thought it would be. Then afterwards, discussing, someone told me that it was supposed to be screened in schools for little children, and I wanted to ask you if you think that it will be taken seriously by adults, and will your message be like understood? And do you think that in the future, is it the future cinema will just give dramatic information, or like dramatic information, like historic information, in a very easy way, just letting the audience to understand the dramatism, thinking it over?
Oh my gosh. Tough question.
I'm going to answer the first part, and then he's going to answer the second part. We really, when from the beginning, we always knew that we want the movie to see it by a family. My family means the teacher and a student, or the father and the son. So this is why it was an option that we don't put very dramatic things and horrible things, because war is horrible. But it was from the beginning that we considered, and this is why we took out many horrible things that the children say, just because we want to get the audience that a kid can watch it. A kid of 9 years old can watch it and say, okay, and he can question, because it's very important for us that that we can think about what our situation in Colombia. So it was important that it can be like a family together, and they can watch it and they can discuss, hey, why we are doing this, what happened with this. So this is why we didn't do this dramatic, like you say, because some of the kids say very terrible things, and really that we cannot put it because we'll be right up the movie.
And maybe for the other question you asked, there's now infomercials, there is edutainment and advertainment, which are merging the information and the narrative situation. And maybe the director doesn't have a choice right now. If I have to work for information, for an infomercial, I have to do it the best way, in the best way possible to convey the information to the audience. And there's now infographic also, which maybe Fast Company, which is a very popular site now, it's putting infographic as a way to convey another kind of information which cannot be conveyed with only text. And advertisement is very popular right now, making short stories or series based on a product and to promote a product. So and also edutainment is very popular right now. So I think there are gonna be more formats to use narrative as a way to convince people of something that wasn't used before. So maybe before advertisement wouldn't appear, but today it's a very common use of narrative cinema, if you put it that way.